Back to the jump. You know, scientists say it takes just 7 seconds after we meet someone that we start making judgments about them. I don't know if anyone has specifically done one of those studies for NBA fans, but from what I saw last night, that number might be even lower. Just a few bounces of the ball, and suddenly the internet had decided. The Nets, apparently the best team ever assembled. The Warriors are supposedly in horrible, unrecoverable from trouble. The Clippers are on a mission this season, and the Lakers apparently just have a championship hangover. Of course, none of these first impressions will likely turn out to be entirely true. The Clippers, as you may remember, also beat the Lakers pretty soundly in the opening game of last season, and well, we know how that all eventually panned out. But there are still some things we can take away from last night, starting with the Nets, who did indeed look like they will be a tone setter at the top of the Eastern Conference. Kevin Durant had 10 points in less than 5 minutes last night, including that beauty. Whew, yeah. He would finish with 22, while Kyrie Irving looked as wizard-like as ever, moves like this. My Lord. The Nets also showed off their depth. 6 guys scored at least 8 points, including 20 for Karis LeVert. And thanks to the NBA's new expanded roster rules, the team even set a record by having all 15 of their active players cede the floor. Afterward, the Nets celebrated with Kyrie presenting rookie coach Steve Nash the game ball.
This is the start of something new right here, man. And I'm grateful to have you as the head of our snake for our coach. And I'll go to war with you any day, Steve.
Aw, very nice. Also post-game, we got a KD interview with TNT's Inside the NBA crew. That did not go as well, especially when Charles Barkley took a turn. Take a look.
You know, Kevin, there was talk about you coming back for the playoffs last year. So you really just been working on your game, trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah.
Come on, man. What you do to me?
I don't do anything.
You know you been saying stuff, but we don't know you saying that.
I've never seen anybody give you just a one-word answer, man. What's up?
Now, to be fair, Chuck only asked Kevin a yes or no question, and KD answered it. But the fact that he didn't elaborate further became, well, a topic of conversation in the studio for the rest of the night.
Ask me a question, Chuck. Anything, just ask me anything.
What time is it, Chuck? I mean, hey, Shaq, you think y'all gonna win?
Hey, Shaq, how was the shopping spree for the kids?
Pretty good.
Because if you're not there.
Hey, Shaq, ask me a question.
Charles, how many gifts did you buy for Kitty this year?
None.
End of the highlights
Kitty,
we go.
Hey, Kitty.
Yes.
Kitty, how your kids doing?
Good. Okay.
Yeah, even Draymond Green chimed in. That is a lot of laughing, crying faces there. Now, Green did not chime in on all the talk about how the Warriors had just been schooled, although Steve Kerr did, joking it was some sort of basketball karma for all the times the KD Warriors had done that to other teams in recent years. Still, I would caution anyone from making one of those 7-second rushes to judgment on Golden State. No, the Warriors are clearly not an elite team right now. Without Klay, we knew that already. They are also likely not as bad as what we saw last night, which was rookie James Wiseman's first game, and a game Draymond didn't even play. The same caution about first impressions also applies to the Clippers and Lakers, who kicked off the night with the most unusual ring ceremony in NBA history and finished it with some disjointed play and LeBron James sitting out the game's final 8 minutes with a rolled ankle. Now, I was in the mostly empty Staples Center last night, and I can tell you the whole vibe was just, well, as weird and disorienting as everything else has been this year, which is why when, not long after the game started, Paul George bounced a pass to, I don't know here, the referee. It wasn't shocking to me that he was taking a minute to get his bearings. Of course, NBA Twitter is NBA Twitter, so we got a lot of this. Again, though, first impressions aren't always correct, and PG's night was about to get better, a lot better. A dominant 33 points better, where we saw PG do stuff like this. Yeah. So that's good to see again. And this. The performance certainly seemed to back up what Paul has been saying for weeks, that finally having 2 healthy shoulders was making a world of difference from last season. It also underscored how the franchise listened to him when he publicly complained about not being put in enough pick and rolls. Last night, Nearly 70% of PG's possessions were pick plays, and the Clippers also gave him more flexibility within each of those possessions, which directly led to 34 of his points, or 34 points overall. So how much stock should we put in all of what we saw last night? Not too much. After all, scientists have also found snap judgments, the ones we make in those early 7 seconds, are often just patently untrue. Apparently, we have to give these teams at least, 2 games? Then I'm sure we'll know everything. Vince, I love those Paul George stats. I love seeing him thrive and answer the challenge last night. Mm-hmm. What do you think the Clippers can do to continue getting that version of Paul George?
Nothing. I think in my opinion, I think it's business as usual. We've seen Paul George have great regular season. They need him to be prolific, elite, one of the best 5 to 10 players in the NBA in the postseason. So right now, this is just revving up, getting warm for the postseason. So I think, put him in the pick and roll situations that he wants, where he feels like he can thrive. Okay, fine, we're going to put you there, but we need you to bring this same energy and effort in the postseason for them to win.
Yeah, I agree. And here it is. Paul George is a phenomenal player. No one could take that from him. He's an elite two-way player, one of the elite two-way players in the game today. I think the biggest challenge for Paul George is his mental. And the best thing that happened for Paul George was Ty Lue. Ty Lue is a coach that not only he would get on you, but he could relate to you. So he's almost like a friend / brother / coach that will get the best out of Paul George, and he listens to his players. You could tell Paul George is playing with a clutter-free mind, and it showed on the court. And like Vince said, we never doubted his talent in the regular season. It's when it gets tough and when it matters the most in the postseason, what Paul George are we going to see? Are we going to see the Paul George that have those 5 for 15 nights, or he's going to be locked in? He's going to block out all the distractions. He might need to take a chapter out of LeBron James' book and go dark mode, where he get off of social media and just have straight tunnel vision. And I think that will help him a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point, Perk. I want to get to the other game from last night.
I want to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add one thing to that. And I think, he should use the regular season as practice, as these big games, the Christmas games, and any big games that they have. That should be his approach, playoff mode. Everything is to playoff mode. They felt like they had a letdown and this didn't happen. Everything should be geared towards and predicated to how we're going to play in the playoffs starting now. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to the other game from last night where the Nets looked awesome in that 26-point win over the Warriors. The 7-11 duo of Kyrie and KD. Kyrie, 26 points in 25 minutes. KD, 22 points in 25 minutes. Perk, was that blowout last night more about the Nets being great or the Warriors having trouble?
It was more about the Nets being great. It's not, look, the Warriors are not the only team that's going to get blown out by the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be a lot of teams get blown out by them, Rachel. They are deep. Kyrie and KD are on a mission right now. Look, Kyrie could burn all the sage that he wants. He could sit Indian style. I don't care what he do off the court. When he get between those lines and he play this type of basketball, the Nets are going to be tough to beat. And I love what Steve Nash is doing right now by bringing Karis LeVert off the bench, because he could possibly win Sixth Man of the Year because he's a bucket. Yes. But look, the most important thing I was impressed about, the ball movement. Guys were not playing my turn basketball. They were letting it go. They were flowing through the offense and not forcing anything. And by the way, on the defensive end, their energy was there, and it was set by Kevin Durant, blocking shots and taking charges. The Brooklyn Nets are really, really scary to anyone, but they're coming out of the East. I tell you that much.
Ooh, all right, Vince. What about you?
And say it. And I tell you, it could go either way. Depends on what side of the spectrum you're on. But I definitely think it's about the Brooklyn Nets and what they have to offer. And just think about this: the last 2 years, they made the playoffs, and they did not have Kevin Durant. They did not have Kyrie Irving.
Right.
So now you're adding prolific superstars to this team, and all you need now is adjustment to getting these guys to buy in. I agree with bringing Karis LeVert off the bench as another scorer. So when you bring one of those guys, KD, Kyrie, out, and you bring Karis, and you still have two scores, or you can put him in there and feature him by himself. So they have so many options. And you see, like you said, Kevin Durant has bought in in position. And there was one situation where he missed a tag, a bump, and then he ended up getting a foul. And he said, and he admitted his wrong to the bench and to the coach. And I think that's the start, first of all, of a good defensive team. And players like that admitting their wrongs now can translate to good things later on down the line.
See, that's fascinating to me. I didn't catch that moment, Vince. I love hearing that, though, because one of the concerns about this Nets team, right, has been that defensively they're not as strong. They're not set up to be as strong as they are offensively. And can they bring that level up? Now, we saw with the Lakers last year, if you took the numbers of all the players the season previous, they didn't look like they would be a good defensive team. But guess what?
Well,
they buckled down and played great defense. And you think the Nets can do the same, Vince?
Well, Rachel, I'm going to say this. Even if they're not great individual defensive players, team defense is most important. What are your strengths that they have on their defense? They're shot blockers. So you just need to be solid, not get beat on the first dribble, and funnel everything down to your big guys, to your shot blockers. You have two elite shot blockers behind you, so you just need to be solid. You don't have to be locked down. You have to be a two-way player. But you just need to be solid and come up with the scheme that works for you. And you're going to make adjustments because you're going to play against special players. I understand that. But if you have a solid defensive system, good things can happen because offensively, like Perk said, they're going to blow out a lot of people. They're going to blow out a lot of people. They're going to outscore a lot of people. But when those close games come about, you just have to remain solid. Yes, some schemes are not going to work, but if you know that you have two shot blockers behind you, that should be comforting.
And one thing that we have to keep in mind is that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are NBA champions, so they know what it takes. And when I watched from the start of the game, Kyrie Irving took on the challenge of guarding Steph Curry. He guarded Steph Curry. He picked him up, and I said, you know what? This team is locked in. And that comes from being taught in Cleveland for Kyrie Irving. You look at Kevin Durant. I saw that he was locked in. I taught him well. And then also learning from Golden State. What people don't give Kevin Durant enough credit for is that he is a leader. He's a leader. So Steve Nash could hold Kevin Durant accountable, and Kevin Durant could accept it. Everyone else now could be held accountable by Steve Nash. And you could tell they was tied on one string defensively, and it was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating to see this develop. The Nets, of course, one of our Christmas Day teams. We've got our annual Christmas Day tradition here on ESPN and ABC.